Thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me this morning. And I'm sorry I have to go back to Parliament quite quickly, but you'll probably understand why. So I just wanted to share with you some thoughts about an initiative from the Home Office, which we'll be going live with in the autumn, but which we're going to start talking about from today and over the summer. And it's an initiative called the Frontline Review. We've never done anything like it, so we're really determined to get it right. Essentially, it's about trying to make sure that the voice of frontline officers and staff is genuinely heard by those taking decisions about the future of policing. And I'm sponsoring it personally. It matters to me because it's rooted in my experience of last year when I made it my business to go and speak to or visit every single police force in England and Wales, because I realised I didn't have a good enough understanding of what was going on the front line. And when I did visit a force, we always organise a meeting with frontline officers, with the boss out of the room, biscuits on the table, to have a very frank conversation about the job. And those conversations had a very big impact on me, because I realised I was speaking with people who had the most up-to-date experience, the deepest knowledge of what the reality of the job is today. And those conversations told me a lot. I heard a very consistent message about the stretch and strain and the frustration of not being able to do the job properly. And it was those conversations that more than anything influenced me to go and make and win the argument that we needed to put another £500 million worth of public money into our police system this year. But I also heard a huge amount of pride and enthusiasm for the job, despite all the frustrations. And I also heard a lot of ideas. And I've come off that process thinking, we need to keep capturing that. We need to keep this connection, which we've never done at the Home Office before. No police minister has ever done it before, as far as I know. So what we've come up with is the idea of a frontline review, which is slightly clunky language, but it is about trying to connect the centre, the Home Office, and all our partners, the chiefs, the superintendents, the Fed, and everyone else with the voice of the frontline. And my motivation is twofold. What I want out of this, it comes from two places. One of my priorities is to make sure that frontline officers are better supported than they have been in the past. And that's not just about kit and equipment. It's about what you're talking about today, which is a genuine but new commitment to the health and wellbeing agenda in policing. But it's also about a commitment to personal development, skills development, a whole range of issues where I feel if we do a better job in terms of supporting frontline officers will be happier, even more engaged, even more productive. And there's evidence to show that. And that's a big agenda for us. But I'm also determined, and I believe very strongly, that we're living in an age of very fast change where the most successful organisations are ones that are open to new ideas, that innovate and seek innovation from those who are operating closest to the customers at the front line. And that's a challenge in policing. The police are not short of ideas, far from it, huge problem-solving community. But policing is a very hierarchical structure. You know this better than I do. And what I'm interested in doing is seeing whether through this review and through what we set up and the channels we set up, we can bring ideas out of the system and bring them to the surface and then spread them across the system. Because I think there's a huge amount of innovation inside policing that tends to stay where it is. And I want to try and flush it out. So that's what the Frontline Review is. That's its objectives, that's its motivations, which is to get proper feedback about your experience, the experience of your colleagues in terms of the support services you get at the moment, how you're led, how you manage the kind of services, such as the ones you're discussing today, how they work in practice for you and how you think they can be improved. But what I also want to get out of this exercise is ideas on how, practical ideas on improvements that could be made on the front line to make the job easier or to make police officers more effective in terms of serving the public. That's what I want to try and get out of it. What is it? It's different from anything we've done before. It's basically been run by a small group, including 5 or 6 serving frontline police officers. Steve at the back there from Homicide is part of that team. It's got a supervising body on it that is, again, full of police expertise. I'm delighted that Mike Cunningham, the chair of the college, is going to chair that steering group for me. John Sullivan, who you're going to hear from later, is also part of that process. And we are very aware there's going to be quite a lot of scepticism about this, because God knows you've been asked for enough information, you've got enough on your plate at the moment, lots of existing fora. We don't want to try and impose something big and blobby on the system. So this is about working through existing networks, through existing channels, to try and have proper conversations about, as I said, these issues of how you're supported and your ideas for change. There will be some online opportunities to engage in the autumn, and then we'll be doing some face-to-face stuff around the country as well. So this will all lead to the publication of some recommendations in early 2019, and then part of my job and our partner's job is to make sure those recommendations are implemented and to hold people to account for that, and to explain kind of what's been accepted in terms of ideas for change, so that people in the front line can see, oh, okay, we made a difference, or this process made a difference. And then what I hope is that going forward, what we'll have created through this process is a network of people across the system, the front line, who are committed to change, interested in continuing to think about change and how it's implemented across policing. This isn't new. They've got it inside the NHS. They've had such a network for 20 odd years. The person who built it is working on this project. It's all part of a process really to try and encourage and nourish and support even more innovation from within the police system, and to bring it to the surface and to get it and to drive the change that I think we all know is going to be needed in this environment of very rapid change. So that's the frontline review. You're going to be hearing more about it over the summer and in the autumn. I know there'll be a lot of scepticism. Asking a police audience to put scepticism aside I know is useless, but suspend it for a minute to try and engage with it. There's some information, I think, Claire, on us on some holding information on the review there. Do have a look at it. There's some people to talk to at the back, including Steve at the back there today. Please engage. We're open for ideas today on that you've got, not least in terms of how this review might work. But please keep it on your radar screen, and when we go live in the autumn, please help us spread the word about this. We're entirely genuine about wanting to understand better the lived experience of frontline officers in terms of the support services you get. We're entirely genuine in wanting to hear ideas for change, because I think that goes to the heart of shaping the kind of police service that we need in the future. And in that process, I'm determined to listen very carefully to those who know more about policing than anyone, which is serving officers and staff on the front line. It's very important to me that your voice is heard. I think this is the first time this opportunity has ever been structured and presented in this way. It's basically up to the police system whether you grab it or not, and I urge you to do it. Thank you. Thanks, Fiona.